Good morning. I'll call this meeting to order. We have a quorum. All three commissioners are present. Commissioner Fund will lead us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the minutes of July 15th, 2013.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, changes? Call for the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Don Eddings from Vader. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Don Eddings from Vader, water customer. It's been a year since we've spent that $1.3 million on the water system. And as a citizen, I would like to hear the results if things got better, worse, or stayed the same, or whatever.
As far as the water is concerned, or as far as the progress is concerned?
Well, you know, there was a lot of air in the lines and stuff. We don't know if those air vent deals helped or anything. What we're sort of hoping for is a newsletter update.
Okay. We haven't heard anything to the contrary, Don, but we'll check with Tim this afternoon and see if anything's happening. Mr. Leakey, do you have any input on that at all, or is Vader Water? Okay, let us know maybe if you're getting in, if they're sending bills out to get something in the newsletter about it.
Yeah, we should get them about the 8th of next month.
Okay, and the status right now of the acquisition by the county is that the attorneys are hassling it out, and supposedly by the 31st of October we should have definite answers, definite progress.
But you didn't say what year.
2013.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, 4:30. 4:30.
You know who that was that came in? From what? The next is the employee recognition from Above and Beyond, and none of those members are here. We will catch up with them later, but Commissioner Fund?
For the employee awards for Above and Beyond, we have Mike McDonald, as well as Detective Jeff Humphrey and Deputy Brian Lahr. And for Employee of the Quarter is Anna Ong Chen. And today at 4:30 at the facilities office, there's going to be a celebration with her. So those of you who can attend, please do so. And the next week we will have some of these folks present, and we will honor them duly at that point. Thank you.
I would like to say in a public meeting that Anna is our custodian for this building, and she just does a really outstanding job. We missed her for a year when we had cutbacks in staff, and she was one of them that was temporarily let go. And we're really fortunate to have her back, and we're really pleased with the job she does. And it's quite a remarkable lady with quite a remarkable story.
Yes. Yes.
We'll go on. I will entertain a motion for the notice agenda.
I move that we approve the temporary closure of Chandler Road to all through traffic from August 5, 2013 through September 6, 2013. Resolution number 13-416.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Mr. Rod Lakey.
Rod Lake with Lewis County Public Works. This is a replacement culvert located at milepost 2.5 on Chandler Road, and the closing between Looting House and Elk Creek will be to all through traffic. During the period of work, the closure, as stated, was August 5th through the September 6th, starting at 7 a.m. and ending at 5 p.m. on the last day of closure. The road will be open from either side up to the point of closure, and there are alternate routes around the area for the closure. The work is happening at milepost 2.5, and I believe it was 400 feet each direction for staging. Public Works will post the required advisory signs on both sides of the closure and will notify 911 communications and the local fire department of the closure. And just for an idea here, a refresher, we're replacing a existing twin pipes. One's a 35-inch and one's a 40, I think it was a 48 round. So it's been a problem area. It's got a lot of decay, rusting in the culvert, and we're replacing with a 14 by 7 foot corrugated pipe arch. So it's going to be quite a large construction area, large hole, and plan to be done in about a month. So
Is this contracted work, Rod, or is this?
this is by the county. We did contract out for the material purchase for the culvert.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. I'll call for the question on the notice agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Notice agenda is approved.
Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda, items 2 through 6, resolution 13417 through 13421.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. Commissioner Gross.
The resolution 13-417 is the approval of warrants by the county. We have 101 regular warrants for $196,903.25. In addition, we have 4 special purpose warrants in the amount of $1,042.67 for a total of $197,945.92. In addition, there were 253 payroll warrants issued in the amount of $232,372.
Thank you, sir.
Who's doing the
Airport
runway?
grant.
Is that you, Lee? Who?
It's not me, it's Alan.
It's Alan's.
5 and 6.
This is an airport grant. Its grant is offered by the FAA
A.
for runway work and to build a garage for their snowplow.
This is on the Shalos and Trey Airport.
Yes.
The next item is a call for the special election for the city of Toledo. The city of Toledo is wanting to become a part of the Timberland Library system, and so they have submitted an application as their first or second step in getting the Timberland Regional Library to come to Toledo. It's our obligation to approve a special levy, a special election to provide for that process to take place. Do you have anything to add, Edna?
No, but I know there's a Timberland employee here. Do you have anything to add? If you'd like to come to the microphone.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Your name?
My name is Rick Holmschek. I'm with the Timberland Regional Library. I'm the business manager. Thank you. We're presenting the concurrence or the special election request for the city of Toledo to be part of Timberland Regional Library. It would be in conjunction with the general election. We're very excited to get the city of Toledo to even consider the opportunity to be part of Timberland Regional Library. There's a strong group down there, the Vision Toledo group, and there's a big push to create a downtown corridor that's vibrant, and they believe that the library is part of that vibrancy, and we look forward to positive results.
Thank you.
We didn't think the Morton one would pass, but that surprised us, and I think they have enough momentum to get a library in Toledo, so
I think so.
we're hopefully optimistic.
Yes, I would concur. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lee Napier, Director of
Community Development for Lewis County, speaking on agenda item number 5, Resolution 13-420. So this is the resolution related to the restriction on outdoor burning throughout Lewis County. This restriction did take effect at 12 a.m. this morning, so when people woke up, the restriction was in place. And we've made this determination based on monitoring over the last few weeks and felt that it was appropriate to enact it at the end of the weekend. So this resolution would just memorialize that.
What about campfires?
So it's a restriction on some types of outdoor burning. So yes, campfires in contained areas are still allowed, provided you need to check with the facility in which you're camping at. But the larger burns, the yard waste and things like that are no longer allowed until it's lifted sometime this fall.
So Lee, this next airport grant is yours.
It is mine, and I almost fell for that same trick again this week. I was tempted to walk up here and talk about the Centralia Airport, which I don't know anything about, but I do know a little something about the Ed Carlson Memorial Field. So again, Lee Napier, Director of Community Development for Lewis County, speaking on agenda item 6, Resolution 13-421. So we have 2 approvals, or 2 grants to consider for approval to help with the master plan at the Ed Carlson Memorial Field Airport in Toledo. And they would be from the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, and Washington State Department of Transportation Aviation Division. So before the board is consideration to accept both of those grant offers and then authorize me to sign on behalf of the county.
Can you tell us again how much it is?
Let me check.
$146,266.
Yes, and then the county has 5% match, and DOT provides the 5% match.
This is kind of an interesting process for the public to understand, because we don't understand it completely. We have a letter from the U.S. Department of Transportation saying that we have a grant award of $146,266. We have to formally apply for that grant, even though they already are going to give us the money. We have to apply for it. Then when they approve it officially, then we have to have another resolution saying that we accept it. And then we have to have another resolution saying we've got to show how we're going to disperse the grant. So we have to pass 4 resolutions basically to get this process. It's a paperwork nightmare somewhat, just so you know.
And all the while, the master plan update has started.
Yes.
Next meeting is August 20th.
Everything's already in gear, so
Yes.
Concurrency.
it's not lean government at its best.
No.
Any other questions, comments? I'll call for the question on the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Next, we'll have a hearing on the open space land classification. And as this meeting goes, it will start out with a report from the county, from the assessor's office. And then we'll have a question and answer period. We'll close the question and answer period, open it to comments, both from the Board of County Commissioners and in the audience, and then we will consider the resolution 13-422. So Diane Dory, our assessor.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Diane Dory, Lewis County Assessor for the record. I'm here this morning to talk about 8 parcels and 8 owners that want to transfer from open space farm and agricultural conservation, or open space farm and ag classification into open space farm and agriculture conservation. Same type of program that they're currently in, without the expectation of them having to prove income for up to 10 years. This program allows people that have traditionally been farming to go into a program so that in case they're getting older, they can figure out what they're going to do with their property, hand it off to their heirs, sell it, whatever. But this lifts for up to 10 years the obligation of them to have to prove income to us. The change is, instead of an average of about $400 per acre that they have to prove on income, or excuse me, that they pay on their value, it's now 40% off their market value is what they get instead. So they're paying a higher value per acre not to do this, but they don't have to remove it from the program at this point. So up to 10 years, they can transfer back into open space farm and ag. At the end of 10 years, if they haven't resolved their issue, then they have to come out of the program.
Do they have to pay back taxes when that happens?
They have to pay back taxes when that occurs.
For how long?
For 7 years, as if the taxes have gone delinquent. And that's in RCW. That's by law.
And they know that when they come out of the program?
They know that when they go out of the program. That was one of the options that was explained to them, instead of transferring into open space farm and ag conservation, that they could have removed it at that point.
Dan, we don't have any of the sizes on these parcels. Do you? I know you probably don't either.
I don't have the
Are these larger
acreages with
parcels?
me. No, I'm sorry. We could include that if you want that in the future.
It'd be nice to just know on your summary how big these parcels are.
Okay, we'll include that from now on.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Does anybody have any questions in the audience? If you have any questions, please come up to the mic and ask your question. We'll answer them.
Yes, I do. My name is Dan Chesley, and I'm on there as initially when I purchased the property, it was a foreclosed piece in 2008, and I didn't really fully understand Growth Management Act and the farm classification. And in my exuberance to buy a piece of property at that time, I purchased a piece in an area that was subjected to the 20-acre rule. And after we split the property, I ended up with 19 and a little bit more acres. And that basically put me in jeopardy because it was classified farm, correct?
Correct.
And I really thought I could work my way through this, but the penalty prescribed by the fact that I had less than 20 acres meant that I had to sell my cows faster than I wanted to. In other words, my stock. And that's why I want to change to conservation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. And I guess I made a couple mistakes. One was I didn't realize that the Growth Management Act had teeth, and I'm finding that out. And two, I need this to occur, because if this reclassification doesn't occur, then I have to sell, I have to basically get out of farming because I'm selling my stock faster than I can replenish it. So.
I don't want to interrupt, but do you have a question in there? There's a second time for statements.
Oh,
but if you have a
I'm
question-
sorry. Yeah.
The first part of this is, do you have
Okay.
questions on the process?
Okay.
We're going on, and then there's a second
I guess
part.
I guess my question. I'm sorry. I know this is the first time I've ever been here, so I'm kind of new to this. But the question I have is, you were announcing that this change is only good for 10 years. Is that right? How does that work?
Well, at the end of 10 years, you either have to go back into open space farm and be able to prove your income,
Right.
or you have to come out of the program at that point and pay the back penalty and taxes for the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm. And then if I sold the property, how would that relate to whoever purchased the property?
Either they have an opportunity to tell you at that point that they don't want to be involved in this and you have to remove it at that point, or they sign to continue on in the program and they accept what you've created here.
Okay.
And it has to be explained to them that's your,
Right.
responsibility to explain to them, or have them come to talk to us so we can explain to them what their responsibility will be.
When you say that the property goes back, would it essentially go back to the farm classification, or would it go to the conservation classification?
No, you're already in conservation.
I'm already in the conservation.
Well, when this
I applied
action's
for it.
taken care of, when this action's done today,
Right.
then you will go into, you will be part of the conservation program then.
All right, that settles that. That was my question.
The question that.
And my statement.
The question that remains unanswered there, that, Ms. Dory, you made the statement that it goes back, and it doesn't go back to ag, it goes back to some other classification if after 10 years it no longer qualifies.
They have to transfer back in open space farm and ag at the end of 10 years, or
then
it
they
has
have-
to be removed.
Okay, and then they have to, removed, and where does it go if it's removed? That's the question.
Excuse me, I'm
Where
sorry.
does it go if it's removed from ag?
It goes back into highest and best use.
That's the question that needs to be answered, and that, I think what the question that you were getting at, Mr. Chesley, is once it goes through this 10-year cycle, and it no longer qualifies for ag land because you're not providing the revenue from it, then it goes to next and best use, or best use that's qualified out there. And this is a big problem with growth management. We've had this issue before. So you've got 19 acres. Now your best use is to subdivide it, but you can't subdivide it because it's considered ag land under growth management. This is a huge problem with the Growth Management Act.
And
Right.
then you owe 7 years of
Then you owe
back
7 years of back
taxes on
taxes.
highest and best use.
Now, one statement I want to make is this program is separate from growth management. This has to do with the use of the land and taxation of the land. It has nothing to do with growth management.
Well, but it absolutely does.
It has to have,
It absolutely does, because that land is classified as agricultural land, which cannot be subdivided.
Correct, but
But, so he's taxed as if he can subdivide it, but he can't subdivide it because of growth management.
right.
That's the problem.
But it can be zoned independently agriculture, whether or not they're in the program or not.
Not if it's ag land.
May I make a statement?
According to the RCWs for open space 8434, there's no mention of growth management at all.
it doesn't have to be. If it's an associated law and growth management says you're taxing it as highest and best use, but growth management says you have to maintain it as agricultural resource lands, they can't divide it.
Can't divide it.
Right, no, I understand
That's
that.
the breakdown in the whole system. It's not your fault, it's the
yeah.
GMA issue.
Uh,
I just want to
and-
make that clear. It's a GMA problem that we have. Right now, I have a property owner out in the Morton area who wants to sell part of his property, but he's under forced resource land restriction. He can't sell half of his 27 acres. He can't sell because forced resource land all around him, except for those 5-acre parcels that are right next to him. And it's a big problem with GMA. I'm just saying.
Sure, go ahead.
You're missing a point on my property, and that is, it was divided, that area, you can only have 20 acres. That's
All
the
of
minimum.
ARL is a minimum space
Yeah,
of 20
yeah,
acres.
yeah. And what happened was, I went together, in 2008, at the bottom of the bust, I'd been looking for property, and I found this foreclosed piece that was 24 acres. And I think we were the only people doing a real estate deal in January of 2008 in the county, you know. And but anyway, I know you guys are busy. Here's what happened was we split the property. He got 4.5 acres. I got and the house. I got it ended up I got 19.7 acres or something. And then, of course, I fell underneath the 20-acre rule. And because it was deemed agriculture, I found myself in a trap, essentially, that I was, what was the penalty on that? That is $200 per acre
Well,
if I fall under that?
That's what you have to make, $200
Yeah.
gross income per acre.
And then over the subsequent years, since 2008, I've been trying to, raising cattle, building it up, and the consequence, of course, is I have to sell a lot of my herd just to make that up. So I don't mind the fact that You know, I'm not really looking to subdivide it or anything, although I wish I could just so I could get a bank loan for a house. But, you know, it makes it easier. Banks don't like to land on anything over, what, 7, 8, 10 acres, you know. So anyway, that's my problem. And really, the only reason I'm here is just to make sure that I get into a different classification that would alleviate a lot of my pain.
For 10 years.
10 years.
For up to 10 years.
Yeah, for 10 years. And then hopefully, by that time, I think there's going to be some changes because as it exists today, GMA is not going to work for Lewis County or any county that is rural. I don't see how it'll survive.
Yes, sir, you're preaching to the choir.
Yep.
We're having that problem.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Question and answer period, and Ron's got a question.
Do you have a question?
Or comment.
I know, I have a question. This is question period, right? Okay. I'm Ron Averill from Centralia area. Diane, it seems to me that in the last legislature, or the one before that this 10-year rule came up. And the 10-year rule was predominantly meant for older people who couldn't farm their land anymore, that we didn't push them off and then put a big tax burden on them, that we allowed them to do that. Or to stay on that land without paying the higher taxes. I understood that the 10 years could be renewed if the couple were still alive at the end of that 10 years.
What happened was that didn't actually get enacted in law. Department of Revenue gave us an opinion through their AGO that said counties through their county ordinance can institute up to 10 years. And so therefore we did that with the county ordinance a few months ago. And so put that 10-year rule back in, because otherwise it's a black hole that people could just go into and never come out, whereas other people who weren't in the program then were forced to meet the farming requirements. So what they wanted to do was not make it a black hole that people fell into forever. They could get a tax break forever and not have to do anything to prove their farming ability.
So let's just assume that Mr. Chesley and others like him, 10 years from now, if we pass this today, 10 years from now, say, I want to continue into this program. Could we then have the option of extending that?
No. Well, if you change the county ordinance, you could.
Okay.
But the county ordinance would have to be amended.
We can't do it by ordinance.
Well, we could do
Right.
it by state law.
Right. The other thing is, if you're looking at changing the GMA, that still wouldn't change the requirements for this tax program because it's under 8434, which is a separate RCW.
No, and that's not the point. The point I'm making under GMA is that if you're going to tax him as highest and best use, then I don't know where his property's at or what it's like. But if we're going to tax him at highest best use, and his highest and best use is divided into 1-acre plots, then he should be entitled and enabled to do that if that's what he chooses to do. If you're going to tax him instead of $400 an acre or $500 an acre, whatever the tax rate is on farmland, and all of a sudden his tax base goes to $2,000 or $10,000 an acre, which most of the land in Lewis County now is up to about $6,000, I think, on the lower scale. If you're going to tax him at $6,000, then he should be able to have the opportunity to subdivide that and get his $6,000 an acre if he wants to, rather than being taxed at $6,000 an acre and not be able to do that. That's where GMA comes in.
Right. And sales of property, the 20-acre pieces, 40-acre pieces, 60-acre pieces that are under GMA come through, they're reflecting a lower value per acre, much more so than they did 10 years ago, because of the fact that they are limited on what they can do with it. So
we've affected the value, but we still haven't changed the tax burden on it.
That's correct.
That's what we're trying to say, and if we have an opportunity, we may consider fixing that.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'll close the question and answer period. Diane, would you like your opening comments be incorporated into the record of the hearing?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Then we will have any testimony, any comments?
I've already made my comment. I'd like those comments to be incorporated into the record for the hearing also.
Does anybody have any other statements they would like to make? This isn't a question or answer. You can come up and say you think this sucks or whatever, but this is the time where you can make your comments known about either the program or GMA or how it affects your property. Because we've had problems with this ever since GMA and then the agricultural resource lands have kicked in. Well, if there are no comments for public testimony, then I'll close the hearing for public testimony and consider the resolution 13-422.
I move that we approve resolution number 13-422, open space land classification resolution.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? That's approved.
Mr. Chairman, seeing no further business on the agenda, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.